Up next, Nathan Loding. Yes. Talking to us.
Hello, there we go. I'm here to talk about cancer too. In 2015, my daughter Lily was diagnosed with a rare disease called Langerhans cell histiocytosis, which is a form of cancer. HDVCH makes more sense when I gave this talk in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's Helen DeVos Children's Hospital, which is where she was treated. It required 14 months of chemo. Naturally, we had a whole bunch of people come out of the woodwork saying that they want to help us, saying, let me know what you need. We want to bring you meals. Do you need rides to the hospital? Let's give you money. Let's do a fundraiser. My head is actually shaved because I've done fundraisers for the hospital. Where's the button? Which button is it? There we go. So let me know if there's anything you need. Everybody has said that phrase to somebody in need, but it's awfully vague. And probably what you haven't heard is that's not a helpful thing to say. In development, I work as a consultant. We work with clients, they come to us with specific projects, we have things that we need to do, they have a particular set of needs that they have. More often than not, I found myself walking in to the client site saying exactly the same thing, let me know what you need. It's not helpful. So through this, what I realized is my daughter's chemo has kind of made me a better development consultant. What I found was I had to change the language I was using. So there's a certain vague and uninterested, disconnected bit to let me know what you need. And it's, actually, I don't even really have a way to describe it. Somebody walks up to you and says, hey, let me know what you need. Now all of the burden is on you. You have to figure out what you need, when, what you want. You have to tell them what to do. That's a lot of additional work that that person was trying to take away from you. And they're doing it in good spirit, but it's not actually the helpful thing to say. Now, if you change the language a little bit, and if somebody had come up to me and said, hey, I'd like to bring you a meal sometime, what day works? That's a lot easier. I can say Friday, and that's all I have to do. I don't have to say, I need a meal, it needs to be spaghetti, I need it on Friday, it needs to be hot. So the same thing with clients. How do you want this feature to work? Well, let's get a little bit more specific. Let's get a little bit more engaged with the clients. Let's say, how does this feature help you complete your job or your task? Let's figure out what their actual end goal is, their actual motivation. Take the work away from them, put the work on you, that's what they're paying you for. And I just realized I should have started with a little bit more of an introduction on what the heck this talk is about. But it's about exactly this. It's about how you can be just slightly more specific, and it's actually a lot more helpful to those people. And I found this random quote while I was putting this together: a prudent question is one half of wisdom. And my CIO at my company actually said this at a meeting that we had last year. It's our job to give them what they don't ask for in order to supply them with what they really need. So the same thing can be said if you've got a friend who's going through some sort of cancer journey. The same thing can be said if you're working with a client who's got a new project that they need put together, a new app, a new website, something. Keep that in mind when you're talking with them. You don't need permission to walk up to them and ask if you can provide a meal for them one day. You don't need permission to walk up to a client and say, hey, how do you feel about making this work on a mobile device? That's a terrible example, but that's the one that came to my mind. And the last thing I want to leave you with is don't let disappointment affect your communication. Same with you don't need permission. There's absolutely nothing wrong with walking up to that person and saying, hey, can I bring you a meal sometime? And them saying no. That's perfectly fine. You were still being there for them. You were still being helpful. You were still being present. On the flip side of that, when you're working with a client, there's absolutely nothing wrong with proposing the mobile app and having them say no. Maybe it's a budgetary thing. Maybe it's not what they actually want. I wish I had a better example than that, but I don't. And that's kind of the last thought I want to leave you with. I wish I could go back in slides. Be very specific with your requests. Don't just say, can I help? Make a very specific request to those people. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to wrap it up there. I'm just going to leave it there. We're good. We're good.
We're great.